Hello, and welcome again to Van Life Pantry, where we talk about van life, and pantry. Van life and pantry. Um, Today I had eggs and sausage for breakfast, and I mixed up enough pancake mix to do a single pancake. And that just was a little bit of the pancake mix and a little bit of the liquid, just stirred it together and poured it in the pan. I didn't even do any measuring. I didn't add an egg. I just used a little bit of gluten-free pancake mix because mine has to be gluten-free. And that was with breakfast. A little bit of maple syrup on top, and I am finished. But I got to do it in this nice environment, looking at the boats, enjoying the cooler weather. The rest of the country right now is gripped in this heat wave, and we are trying to avoid it because we don't have the air conditioning to be in that kind of environment at this point. So we're just here enjoying this. But the life part is, I want to share that you don't have to let other people define you or your choices or understand what you're doing. If you're doing this part-time or full-time, or you're just having fun, that's fine. If you are someone who is full-time and you have made this decision based on financial considerations, which a lot of people are doing and having to do, you don't have to explain to anybody what that means and why you had to do it or why you are doing it. We all get to find the freedom where we can, the enjoyment where we can, and share what we learn and what we know. But everybody has reasons that they choose to change the way they are doing things. And sometimes wanting to change your position in what will hopefully turn out to be a positive way, whether it be for freedom or financial change or whatever that is, sometimes that means that you make a drastic change to the way you were doing things. And one of the things that I think is interesting is that you then find out a little bit about who your friends were, and you find out a little bit about what people think and who is supportive and who isn't. And you find out that people want you to always defend yourself, defend your decisions. You don't have to do that. You do what is best for you with the decisions that you know need to be made based on your position and your financial position, and whatever it is that you need to do, you can make those decisions. And doing what we are doing is one way to make a change so that you can reposition. And I don't explain why I'm doing what I do. I just am doing what I do. Is it temporary? Is it permanent? I don't know. It's temporary at this point, and it's enjoyable for us in ways because we are looking for the enjoyment, and we are wanting to share the enjoyment of a different way to do things. But by some people, it is seen as an undesirable way to do things. Now, you've got a whole spectrum of people. You have the full-time RVers who are just retired, who spend their time in RV parks, and they may stay in one RV park for a month or a year or a season or however long that is, a week, and then they move on to another one. And then you have the people who are occasionally camping and will, pay for campsites and pay for a little bit of RV time, RV park time. If you have a trailer that if you have an RV park that allows the kind of conveyance that you are using, then you can choose those options. But there are people who are living a nomadic lifestyle because they don't have those options, or they don't have a trailer, or they don't have an RV, and they can't just go pay exorbitant fees for staying in places all the time. And so those are the people that end up having a little bit of maybe more difficulty in doing a nomadic life, because it is harder to find places to be allowed to be. And so we see the spectrum. We see the people who are doing both ways, all the different ways. And when you are out and around, if you take the time to talk to the people, the other day we saw an older lady in her trailer, and she was in an RV spot and at an RV park, and we just happened to be in an area right near there, a camping area, and another RVer came and parked, and the new person who had more recently arrived, their dogs got loose and attacked the other dogs. And we went over and chatted with the woman whose dogs had been attacked, and got to hear a little bit about what she's doing, and she's just enjoying a vacation and traveling around. And the other people did not take responsibility for their dogs having gotten loose, and they were actually hostile against the woman who had been the victim of this attack, because she walked too close to their dogs, and somehow that meant that their dogs were enticed to go and attack her dogs. Anyway, so you meet people and you see things. There's a guy who was injured in the military, and he is now living a nomadic lifestyle because he can't afford to do anything else, and he makes art and sells it wherever he can in whatever areas he's allowed to do that. There are people who are trying to move from various overnight spots that typically historically have been allowed, like roadside rest stops, and they're finding increasingly that those are not allowed anymore. Overnight parking is not allowed at those anymore. That's happening all over. And the more people that end up doing a full-time nomadic existence because of necessity, the more problems there are going to be, because the places that have historically allowed overnight parking are getting more crowded. Some of the people who come to those places are not tidy, and maybe they have a drug thing going on, and so they make a mess and they make noise, and they are maybe not respectful of the place, and that is causing some difficulty. So if you are doing a nomadic existence for fun, for enjoyment, for financial reasons, for whatever your reason is, if you really keep your eyes open and you meet people and you listen to the stories and you look at what all of the reasons are, you will see that there are a number of different reasons. There are a number of different types of people doing this kind of lifestyle and this kind of part-time or full-time camping or traveling or whatever you want to call it. So van life has become popular, and of course the Instagram videos of people or photos of the people in the Mercedes high-top vans that cost more than $100,000 and are beautiful and have all of the bells and whistles, that's of course the desirable way to do it. But it's not the only way to do it, and it's not the way that probably the majority of people are doing it. The movie Nomadland was criticized by a lot of people for being too much of a downer and too focused on the one character and on the people who are really living that life out of necessity. But if you think about the overall reality, the larger percentage of people doing that are doing it because of necessity and are just trying to find ways to make it the best that it can be and very enjoyable while they do it. So I don't know where you land, and I don't know what adventure you are on, but I just wanted to give that perspective because I get a lot of questions about what we are doing and why we are doing it. And I'm not going to give any of my answers to the internet about why we're doing what we're doing and what we're doing, but I am interested in the lifestyle. I am interested in research and understanding all of the ins and outs. I am interested in writing a book about what I experience and what I find, and I actually plan to do that in the future. So if we want to call it research and development, then that's what I'm doing. But I am doing what I want to do with my life at this point in a way that allows me to experience things I wouldn't otherwise get to experience. And I got tired of waiting. If you are someone who can't afford the Class A motorhome and all of the fees at an RV park, to stay every night in an RV park, and you're never going to get to go and do the travel or the experience or do the things that you've always wanted to do, you don't have to wait to be able to afford that. Now, you do have to be able to afford gas, which is a bigger and bigger damper. And as inflation rises and food costs rise and gas rises, that of course is a consideration for all of us who are trying to travel and do a nomadic exploration of the world. But you don't have to wait to afford the Class A. There's a whole spectrum, just like there is in any area of life. There is a spectrum of economics and abilities, and if you think you can't do it, I saw recently a smart car, a tiny smart car that was packed for full-time camping, and the person is going on, who knows how long, a month, 6 months, a year, however long that turns out to be for them. They have set up a tent on the back of that vehicle where they have a hatchback, and they are able to turn that back area into a bed. People will put up their noses and say, oh, the homeless problem. Well, maybe not. Maybe that person has a lot of money and that's just how they chose to do it. We don't know, and that's why I'm saying don't let people define you. Don't let other people decide for you what you are and what your worth is. When I was younger in college, I didn't have medical care or coverage or insurance or dental at the time, and I needed wisdom tooth extraction, and I went to teaching college, a clinic, a free clinic at the hospital in the town where I worked, where I lived. They had a free or a sliding scale clinic for people who couldn't afford the care. And so I went there and had my tooth extracted, and I needed to use the restroom while I was there, and the restroom, I guess for the public, was far away, down the halls in a faraway spot, and there wasn't time before my procedure for them to send me away. So one of the workers just pointed me to their bathroom, and a doctor came by after the door had shut, and he reprimanded that person and said, "Why are you letting one of them," and he used that tone, "Why are you letting one of them use our bathroom. We don't want them in our bathroom. The dirty, unwashed, unclean, poor people. We don't want them in our bathroom. I was 20 years old, 22, 24, early 20s, and it was not an eye-opener because I was not unfamiliar with people who treated people that way, but it was an eye-opener because I had never been treated that way. I had never been pointed at in that way, and it's an unpleasant feeling. And people don't set out to get into those kinds of positions. People don't set out to be in an economically depressed position. And some of the people who appear to be are not. I've known people who had almost $1 million in the bank, who drove a ratty old vehicle and lived a nomadic lifestyle, and didn't have a fixed house that they went to, and people presumed that that person was the unwashed, unclean, poor people who were dirt under their feet, and that wasn't true of that person. That person just chose to live that way because they wanted to. So you can't presume about people. You can't presume just from what someone looks like or what you think they're doing, what they're all about. And if you are someone who has been a target, if you have had people say something like, don't let them use our area, don't let that get you down. Don't let that change what you choose to do with yourself and your life. And don't explain yourself. You don't have to. We get caught up in what everything should look like, and the keeping up with the Joneses, and yeah, that's great maybe for people and for a time, and maybe you want to, and that's fine. But if you don't want to, or you can't, it's not required. And we all need to remember that it's not required. But I do want to say, if you're out there and you are full-time, and you are one of those people who maybe doesn't have the nicer looking conveyance, you just need to keep it clean, keep things tidy, and don't leave trash. We pick up trash everywhere we go. We pick up other people's trash everywhere we go. And we do that because it's the right thing to do. But additionally, we do that because the fact that that exists makes people put labels on people. And we don't think that there should be blanket labels on people. But don't be the people that are causing the label to be put on people. Be respectful. Leave a place cleaner than you found it. Don't overstay your welcome. And embrace the freedom. Enjoy your best life. That's really what I wanted to say. And if you made it this far, then I applaud you, because maybe that's not anything that pertains to you, but I've decided, yes, I'm about food, and yes, my channel and my focus is about how to cook it and where to store it and how to store it and all of that. But the life part, the part that can be difficult or maybe not as easy for people, is also something that I want to share. And as we learn and as we experience things and as we meet people and see things more and more, I have more of those kinds of things that I want to share. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just occasionally talk about what I see and what my thoughts about that are. But the big overarching message of today is, don't let others tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. Don't let others define you, and don't let others put labels on you for your choices. Now, you know, fine, there are people who will say, yes, but someone who's addicted or who is habitually unreliable, or who is throwing trash everywhere, or, you know, is making a problem, or is camping in their tent on the side of the freeway and causing a danger, maybe a hazardous, dangerous condition. Those, sure, those are problematic issues that need to be solved, and I don't have the answers for that. But what I know is that if you are just a regular, you know, person doing your life, and you are keeping to yourself, and you are leaving the place better than you found it, and you have made the decision to do what you're doing because of whatever well-reasoned, sound choices you had to make, then, you know, you don't have to explain that to people. You don't have to let that get you down. So I hope that you're having an enjoyable experience. If you are living in a nomadic way because you wanted to, then I definitely hope that you are having a good experience and enjoying the choices you've made. If you are living the nomadic experience because you didn't have a choice, I really seriously hope that you are finding ways to embrace the good parts of what the lifestyle can be. And I do hope that you are finding ways that make it easier for you rather than harder. I hope that you are finding the joy wherever you can find it, because in any given situation, there is always something to be grateful for and some joy to be found. Maybe there is usually a silver lining somewhere if we just look for it. So yeah, I mean, some people don't talk about the realities of some of the parts of the lifestyle for some people, because of course that doesn't sell. That doesn't help people really want to jump out and do it. But there has to be also real talk about the real experiences that people are having, and that, I hope, is what I can provide on occasion. So enjoy the day, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy your adventures, and join me again. I will be back again sometime soon, maybe, doing a similar thing and saying, I don't know what next time. Happy travels to you.